Oh, my favorite part of the job is when I see somebody get that light bulb look. You know, the light bulb has gone off above their head. They've figured out a sound that was tricky for them before, or they've made a connection that they've never made before. Seeing them discover that and run with it, it makes it all worthwhile. I'm Dawn-Elin Fraser, and I'm a voice, speech, and dialect coach on stages all around the country. Hello, my name is Dawn-Elin Fraser, and I am a working dialect coach here in New York. I coach at the Broadway level, Off-Broadway, regional theater, and I'm also a professor at New York's Tisch School of the Arts, which is within NYU. I teach in the undergraduate drama department. Within that department, I teach in the new studio on Broadway, and I am the head of voice, speech, and dialects. So excited that we're going to do a little lesson on how to do a Nigerian dialect. And within that, we're gonna also frame the Knight Thompson Speechwork's 4 pillars of an accent, which to my mind is one of the clearest, most direct, and most fun ways of learning an accent. You'll be provided resources through links, so you can even try it at home. Even if you don't feel like you'd ever be cast as a Nigerian person, learning dialects builds empathy, and it also builds attention to detail. With me today, I've got 3 amazing actors who are gonna serve as our classroom, and I'm gonna give them a chance to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Adriana Mitchell. I am an actress hailing from Atlanta, Georgia. I live in the Bronx, and I've worked with Dawn-Elin on the Broadway level. We did Fat Ham together, some dialect coaching for the Southern dialect, even though I'm from the South.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kojo. I'm a Trinidadian American actor. I am a recent graduate of SUNY Purchase Acting Conservatory, and I'm also a magazine creator, Kojo Magazine, check it out. But I have worked with Dawn-Elin on a project earlier this year with Empaniso Adofia's The Grove, and yeah, done some commercial work, and that's a little bit about me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynette R. Freeman. I am an actress, a doula, and a narrator for audiobooks, and also a professor at Brooklyn College. I have worked with Dawn-Elin on several projects when I was understudying here at the Public, in Shadowland, as well as at Lincoln Center, The Blood Quilt.
Great, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. So, we're gonna be learning about the Knight Thompson Speechwork, 4 pillars of an accent. One of the reasons that Phil Thompson and Dudley Knight started working on codifying their own way of training speech workers and actors is because they felt that there was a really central ingredient that wasn't being examined, and that's the idea of bias, both conscious and unconscious bias. We all have them, but if we recognize them and understand that we have biases, we can actually use them to expand our world rather than to narrow it, which is what they usually do, right? So if we can acknowledge that, oh, I think that this is a particularly good way to sound because of, I don't know, the people who raised me or where I went to school or all of these things, then we can really get down to the, I don't know, the nitty-gritty of the sounds themselves without that barrier of this sort of like unacknowledged bias in the way, right? So, the first thing that we want to do before we get started on any sort of speech and dialect work is to warm up. First of all, there are as many definitions for a dialect coach as there are dialect coaches. Some people prefer the term accent coach, which I believe linguistically is more correct. But I was trained by someone who referred to herself as a dialect coach, so that's how I refer to myself. And it's anybody who works on making the actor's relationship to the text in a particular context more specific. Today we're going to begin our warm-up with a stretch of the masseter muscle. That's this one that's here in green. And you can see it goes right along the underside of the jaw, connecting the lower part of the jaw to the rest of the skull. To stretch our right side, we're going to place our thumb inside of the mouth. So yes, left hand to right side. And then you're going to place your index finger on the outside, locate the masseter muscle and squeeze, and you'll know you've got it because it'll feel a little ouchy. Woo! You have it? Good. Now you're going to pull towards this corner. And then release. Good. Now move your jaw up and down. What do you notice? Adriana, any thoughts?
A little more space. It kind of feels like we took a rubber band and just kind of pulled it a bit.
Great.
So then releasing it.
Thank you. Great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and even ourselves out. So we're going to take the right thumb, place it inside the left cheek. Index finger on the outside. Hinge. And pull toward the corner of your mouth. And you'll know you have it when it has that tangy feeling. Ooh. Ah. And then when you're ready to release, ah. You can see that there's so much more potential for space and movement. We're going to organize our warm-up into 4 parts, starting with the face. Let's go ahead and rub and squeeze our hands together so that they feel nice and facile and ready to work. Good. Let's orient our fingertips so they make like a blade. And we're going to tap starting in the center of the forehead. Good. Just notice if your tendency is to hold your breath once you start being given a direction. And just let your breath cycle replace. Moving out toward the temples. Nice and firm like you're thunking a melon at the market. Good. Down across the cheekbones and toward the nose. Back out. Good. And if any point you want to let out a nice sigh of relief, feel free. Yes. Coming down along the chin and lower jaw. And back out. Up across the cheeks. Back across the cheekbones. Temples. Forehead. Good. Making the hands into soft fists. Let's tap along the rest of the skull. Breath coming and going on its own. Let's lace our fingers together, leaving our thumbs free. Flip the hands over. We're going to place them right where the eye sockets meet the nose bridge, and we're going to press and release. And press and release. Last time, press and release. Good.
What does that do?
Well, it wakes up the eyes, and it also releases some of these smaller sinuses. And we're going to get the smaller sinuses up along the brow bone. So press and then a little circle. Press a little circle. Press a little circle. Good. Good. And let's go to the temples. If we take a look at our diagram, that big pink looks like a seashell is our temporalis muscle. And we want to be really in the meat of the muscle. So if you open and close your jaw and place your hands on the side of your face, you can feel that temporalis muscle go, and that's where we want to be. We want to make sure we're in the muscle and not in the bone. We want to press firmly and then slow circles. Nice and slow. If you're working along with us at home, you probably should go slower. Good. And change direction. Good. And at any time during the warm-up, if you want to let out a nice little sigh of relief. Yes, nice. Good. Let that go. Just take a moment and notice that space. Now we're going to place our index fingers on the outsides of our nostrils, and we're going to shake and breathe. Great. And pinching along the edges of the ears, down to the earlobe. and back up, and down, and up. Great. Good. Let's take our fingers and place them on either side of the ear. Be careful if you're wearing hoops, yes? On the outside of the ears, and we're just going to rub and create friction. Good. Let that go. Enjoy that feeling of warmth kind of spreading across the face. Good. We're going to do a gentle stretch in the jaw by just placing a bubble of air in the mouth and swishing it around. And then when we're done, we're going to pop it. Great. And let's get our hands nice and warm, toasty. We're going to place our palms on our eye sockets, let them drink in that warmth. Good. And you'll notice when you relax the eye sockets, the rest of the muscles of the face kind of follow suit. And let that go. So we're going to come up onto our sits bones. They feel like two fists facing down into your chair. You should have one per cheek. And let's just rock between our sits bones so that we really feel them activated. So rocking side to side, and then let's rock forward and back. And as you go back, go ahead and lean on the backrest as you go back. Do you feel how your sits bones are tucked underneath you as opposed to being, sort of on point supporting you? So rock forward to the point where you feel like you're evenly weighted between your two legs and your sits bones. Great. Now let's think about this spine. Now, for so many of us, when we think about the idea of alignment or posture or any of these things, we have sort of like resonance in the body of times people have told us to sit up straight. One thing that we want to honor is the fact that the spine is made up of several segments, several vertebrae, right? And the idea is for us to constantly be balancing and rebalancing, even if it's like a micro-balancing. So in our alignment section, we're going to work on some things that are having to do with that alignment and that rebalancing of the spine, maybe letting go a little bit of our resonance about what it means to, quote unquote, sit up straight, yes? So let's start by taking our shoulders up to our ears and inhaling. And just let them drop as you exhale. Good. And up. And release. Good. And up. This time on vibration as we release. Good. Shoulders forward. And if this brings up a yawn, I want you to indulge in it. Good. Up to the ears. And back. And down. Good. Forward. And up. And back. And down, reversing back, and up, forward, and down, and back, and up, and forward, and down. Great. Now let's do some spiraling in the spine. We're going to start down low at the tailbone. Good. I just want you all three to notice, and also you who are watching, did you hold your breath when I asked you to begin spiraling your spine? Anybody notice that they held their breath? Yeah, it's super common. Someone gives us a direction and we're like, I'm on it, right? We want to make sure we let that breath cycle replace. Let's come up to the center of the ribs. Good. And if at any point you want to give yourself a little, or a, feel free. Good. Good. And up to the upper part of the spine. We can invite the shoulders. Perhaps they'll RSVP yes. Good. All the while, breath coming and going on its own. All three spots for a full spine spiral. Good. And let's come on to some sound as we spiral. Great. Let's make that spiraling smaller and even smaller. And see if you can make that spiraling so small that you're not quite sure if you're moving or thinking about moving. And let your breath come and go on its own. This constant micro-adjusting in the spine is really what we're talking about when we're talking about alignment, right? Not a set it and forget it, not find a posture and then hold it. Because this feels very natural and authentic to life, right? We want to keep that spine just gently moving and adjusting as we work. Now let's turn our attention to our resonators. For our purposes, we're going to think of our lower resonance as our chest resonance. Then we'll move into the jaw and throat. Everything forward to the front of the face for the nasal resonance. And up top here for our head resonance. Okay, so we'll start down low in our chest, and for you at home, just a warning, we're about to make some very silly sounds, but we're all in it together, yes? So if you've got that little part of you that's like holding back, like, I don't want to feel ridiculous here on my couch in my living room, go for it. So we're going to start by humming into our chest resonance. Good. Good, and then repeating after me. Mama me, mama me, mama ma.
Mama me, mama me, mama ma.
Good. Mama me, mama me, mama my, oh my, oh.
Mama me, mama me, mama my, oh my, oh.
Good. So we're gonna go top to the bottom, yes? Good. Coming into our jaw and throat resonance, this is our mid-tone. We don't have to match pitch, so whatever feels like your middle is right where you want to be. Humming into that mid-tone. Good. Mama me, mama me, mama my, oh my, oh.
Mama me, mama me, mama my, oh my,
Great. Everything forward to the nasal resonance. The nasal resonance has a really particular job in theatrical spaces particularly. If your sound is like an arrow, the nasal resonance is like the point of the arrow, right? If I shift to almost exclusively nasal resonance, you can hear how my sound is actually like ringing back, hello, against the walls, right? Can you imagine sitting through an entire Hamlet of this?
No.
Yeah, it would be pretty difficult, right? So you might be able to hear the words really being sent to the very back of the house. Oh, but like in what package, right? So ideally we want to warm up our nasal resonance so that we can sort of sprinkle a little bit of it in there so we've got a nice round resonance that travels through the space, yes? So we're going to place our fingers on our nose bridge so we can feel the vibration. Good. Nya 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 nya.
Nya 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 nya.
Nya 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 nya.
Nya 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 nya.
Great. And finally, let's come up to our head resonance. Great. So now we're kind of bridging between resonance and articulation. So let's start by blowing through our lips with sound. Great. Let's go from the bottom of the scale to the top and release at the top. Good. Top to the bottom. Great. Bottom, top, bottom. Awesome. Top, bottom, top. Great. Placing the tip of the tongue behind the lower teeth. Let's stretch the tongue forward as we make some sound. Great. Tongues back in. Let them re-moisten. So we're going to start with 6 of the most important sounds for articulation, and those are our stop plosive sounds. What we're going to do is this. For each stop plosive sound, we're gonna tap in our palm as lightly and as discreetly as we can to serve as a metaphor for how we want the sound to be, right? We want it to be precise and light, but cutting through the air. We don't want to over-articulate, because that's as distracting as under-articulating. So I'll go first, and when it's your turn, I'll go like this, okay? B, 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 b. Good. Good. G, 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 g. Great, very nice indeed. All right, let's do a couple of tongue twisters. Let's start today with girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle.
Girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle.
Girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle, girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle, girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle.
Girl guy gargoyle.
Girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle.
Girl gargoyle, guy gargoyle.
There we go. That's great. Okay, let's try toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
Good. Tongue twister tip. It feels counterintuitive, but where you want to like go kind of harder and wrestle it down, I want you to do the opposite, right? And go very light. You might even want to just stroke the back of your hand. Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
Yes. We're just working on spreading and rounding with this next one, yes? Kinky cookie, kinky cookie, kinky cookie, kinky cookie.
Kinky cookie, kinky cookie, kinky cookie, kinky cookie.
Great. So now we're going to do a little bit of something for stamina, which is great because we're going to be doing a lot of sitting today, but we still want energy in the body, yes? So repeating after me in voice, body, attitude, etc. Yes? A lippity pippity lippity pippity lippity pippity lip.
A lippity pippity lippity pippity lippity pippity pip.
A lippity pippity lippity pippity lippity pippity lip.
A lippity pippity lippity pippity lippity pippity pip.
Great. How would you describe this lippity pippity sound?
It feels very nasal focused.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm lifting my voice while I'm doing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Good, and that's great information. And even on a less technical level, does it feel like autumn or spring?
Spring.
Spring, yeah.
Oh, spring.
Does it feel light or heavy?
Light.
Light.
Okay, does it feel whimsical or serious?
Whimsical.
Okay, great. Remember all of this information for later as we move on to Mama la baba la mama la baba la mama la baba la ma.
Mama la baba la mama la baba la mama la baba la ma.
Mama la baba la mama la baba la mama la baba la ma.
Mama la baba la mama la baba la mama la baba la ma.
Great. And how would you describe mama la baba la?
Heavy.
Yes.
Yes, grounded.
Yes. Okay, great. So we're going to now alternate between the two. Our challenge is to keep them distinct, right? Human nature is to bring them closer together, but we don't want to end up with like lippity pippity lip, mama la baba la ma. We want them really distinct, right? Ready? And a lippity pippity lippity pippity lippity pippity lip.
Mama la baba la mama la baba la mama la baba la ma.
One more. Lippity pippity lippity pippity lippity pippity lip. One more.
Mama la baba la mama la baba la mama la baba la ma.
So if you're interested in becoming a dialect coach, my first piece of advice is do it. It's so much fun. It's a great way to stretch your imagination and your intellect. I personally believe that using the IPA, or the International Phonetic Alphabet, is one of the best ways to specifically be able to describe the sounds that you want yourself and your actors to make. So I would study the International Phonetic Alphabet wherever I can. I would also start listening to lots of different movies and TV shows where people are working in dialect. I have to say, all of the different foreign versions of America's Next Top Model, so like Sweden's Next Top Model, or Australia's Next Top Model, or Britain and Ireland's Next Top Model, are great ways to hear lots of different regional dialects and sounds. And then volunteer to coach some productions, or at least help out in terms of researching on productions in your community or in your school. And then reach out to folks like me. I always get so excited when I get an email from a young person saying, I'm a junior in high school, I love dialect coaching, I saw Anne Juliet, and I thought the French was so fun, so I looked you up in the program. What suggestions do you have for me? So if you're gonna coach something, I'm happy to coach you on your coaching. Okay, so now that we're warmed up and ready to go, we're going to start to take a look at the 4 pillars of an accent through the lens of this Nigerian accent that we're going to learn. Again, the 4 pillars of a dialect were codified by Phil Thompson and Dudley Knight of the Knight-Thompson Speechwork. If you watch this and you get super curious, I just want to encourage you to take a look at some Knight-Thompson materials. I'm a certified Knight-Thompson Speechwork teacher, and I think that the information has been really illuminating for my practice. So, the 4 pillars of an accent are people, oral posture, prosody, and pronunciation. So let's start with people. A lot of the people information when you're working on a character will come from the script. They'll come from not just the things your character says, but the things that people say about your character, the things that people say about the world of the play. So I had each of my friends here look up one cool fact about Nigeria so that they could share them with us, and we can add that to our realm of people. And maybe you can share your fact, and then maybe a little bit about how you might use that to help you create character if you were working on a script.
I'll start off.
Great.
I am doing languages and tribes for Nigeria, and one of the facts that I was able to discover and find was that it has over 500 languages there, and that's due to the fact that it has over 250 ethnic groups there. So it's a lot of different languages that are spoken there, but English happens to be primarily the language there due to colonization. But what's very interesting, and I think how I would apply that to characters, I think with Nigeria also being known as Giant Africa, it's just about getting really specific about where in Africa is my character from, what tribe are they from, and where can I get really specific about their language, and how that can even apply to the intersectionality between, English or their actual native language.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm Adriana, and my fun fact was around Nigerian geography, and you spoke a little bit about it being like the small Africa, in that it's one of the more populated countries in the continent, and also has, I had no idea, one of the largest river deltas. Like the Niger Delta is actually what Nigeria is named after. Like the fact that the country can have both dry and arid areas up north, and then have these very soggy, swampy, oil-rich areas. And the country can tell you a lot of potentially why there may be so many different dialects that are indigenous, English. There's so many reasons to be attracted to Nigeria for its various resources. And so it was really interesting to kind of think about. From a character perspective, I would imagine, depending on the play and the time period, the kinds of people I may come in contact with, maybe that are attracted to the various parts of geography. Am I living in an arid area? Am I living up north? Thinking about the Hausa people are kind of, I think I looked at an ethnic geographic map which was interesting. And like the Hausa people were up north, and then it's like Ibibio and Igbo were a little bit lower, southern. And so it's like, okay, well, what kind of environment am I living in? What kind of environment is my tribe accustomed to?
Thank you, Lynette.
I did the Nigerian economy. And the Nigerian economy in relation to like all the other countries in the world, it's the 57th largest economy in the world, and also has the second highest purchasing power as a country in Africa, actually. The thing that is sort of a challenge as of now, and the reason why Nigeria is considered like a middle-class emerging economy is that while there are so many things, particularly like agriculturally and in mining, that can be exported and also used within its own people, sometimes the production of those things does not meet the demand as quickly. It's not that it's not possible, but it requires a lot of like upkeep, but it has the full capacity in what it has and as a country to export like a lot of agriculture, but it's just
Infrastructure.
the infrastructure. Interestingly enough, I think around character, looking at this, there's so much to give. There's such a fertile place in which a character can have the capacity to solve the problem, to give, and maybe also meeting certain external challenges to delivering that fully. It's not that there is any challenge in capacity.
Great, great, thank you. Great, and I gave myself a little fun fact to research, and that's Nigerian education. Something that I think is really fascinating about Nigeria as a country is that education is really, really important regardless of your socioeconomic status. And in fact, per capita, Nigeria has the largest number of advanced degrees and the highest rate of literacy in the world. Oh, wow. Yeah, which is I think really useful, especially for actors, especially if you don't know a lot about Nigeria and maybe see Africa as a monolith. And that's something that is really ingrained in the culture and something that I think that an actor could really use to help deepen the relationships with other characters in a particular play. As an actor, finding what in that information is going to be a guideline or a key or almost a handhold for you to pull yourself up more into the character is where the adventure gets really exciting. So oral posture is really fun because it is the shape of the inside of the mouth that changes the shape of the language itself. Or as I like to say, the shape of the cave affects the shape of the echo. Let's talk about just some of the points of oral posture. And as I do this, you all can kind of try them on a little bit. So we've got everything going on with the jaw, right? Whether it is protruded, so giving us sort of like, you know, that upper class Long Island lockjaw, right? Or if it is retracted, giving us kind of like a little bit of an overbite, right? Whether the jaw is high, meaning close to the roof of the mouth, or whether the jaw really drops open when we speak and there's more space in the mouth. Whether the lip corners protrude, right? And they give us a little, you know, maybe a little bit of a pout, or they retract and they sort of like pull back a little bit, right? The pursing, which is the lips themselves either pursing or retracting. And then cheek tensing, right? Whether like the teeth are kind of braced against the cheeks and vice versa, right? And seeing what that does for your sound. Then we've got all the things that can happen with the tongue, whether the tongue is arched, kind of in a high position, right? And you can hear like when I arch my tongue, it moves my sound forward to my nose, right? Or if I have my tongue in a cupped position and there's lots of space and resonance inside of the mouth, right? Then whether the tongue is spread, a nice flat tongue, or if it's channeled, shaped more like a hot dog. Bracing, whether the tongue is braced against the upper molars or not, or whether it's free. And then the tongue root here under the chin. Let's go ahead and massage in our tongue root. This is a great one to add to your warm-up too, by the way, especially if you have a tight jaw. And so the position of that tongue root, whether it's released or retracted. Then we've got the back space of the mouth. The velum is another word for the soft palate. And if you raise your eyebrows up and down, you can feel your soft palate go up and down, right? So whether or not you have a high soft palate with lots of space or a low soft palate with like barely any space at all, right? And then the widening or narrowing of the throat itself, the pharynx. So if you think about the moment, if you swallow and let it be kind of like tighter, or if you inhale and then keep it that width from the breath, right? The pharynx can narrow or widen. And then we've got glottal settings, whether or not the voice is breathy or it's creaky. If the larynx feels high and closer to the oral cavity, or if you swallow and drop the larynx, then there's lots of space between the larynx and the oral cavity, right? So we can do lots of little combinations of these to come up with different voices. Let's take a look at the oral posture for our Nigerian accent. Okay, so we have a high soft palate. So I like to think of the moment right before you yawn, or like, so if you inhale and you're just about to yawn, do you feel that like height? Yeah, let's just say, hey, hi, from that place.
Hey, hi.
Yes, good. Lowered larynx. So if you swallow and then almost yawn, then the larynx is low and the soft palate is high. Hey, hi. Good. Imagine that your throat is as wide as your neck and your neck is as wide as your ears. So we're just going to draw a line from our ears to our shoulders like this with our hands. So we feel that width. Hello, 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 hello.
Hello.
Yeah, do you feel how much more resonance we have than from our starting place?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a dialect with a lot of resonance. And then the lips are very round on round sounds. Let's do this one more thing before we move on to prosody. Get your hands nice and warm. Place your warm hand on the back of your neck. Imagine that you're speaking through that hand. 11, 11, 11, 11.
11, 11, 11, 11.
That sounds great, all of that space. Prosody, the music-like elements of language, the melody, rhythm, emphasis, right? We have lots of different attributes, things like pitch, length, tempo, loudness, quality, right? The types of vibration, like a saxophone versus an oboe, very different qualities. Silence. What are the silences like between passages of speaking, right? How do they highlight the connectivity between each word? Combinations, arrangements of attributes like a swing in pitch, right? Or simultaneous changes in loudness and vowel length, right? So if something's very important, it might get loud, but you also might stretch the vowel out, if that makes sense. Then functions, the meaning that attributes and combinations can communicate, what's important. So if I say, I want to go home now, right? That's one message. I want to go home now. I want to go home now. I want to go home now, right? All of these things are shifting the actual meaning of the phrase by shifting the prosody. Grammatical structure is also a part of prosody, and the speaker's attitude. We can sort of put our pursuit of objective onto the language, and then that's part of how we're relating to the language as well. Great. And then finally, this one is really great for when you're working in scenes. How does turn-taking occur, right? Is it the kind of thing where people get their turn by jumping in and cutting you off? Is there a polite sort of waiting for a pause? Is there simultaneous speech until one speaker decides to drop out? These are all things that we can look at in terms of a dialect or accent. I've included the Laban effort chart from the book How to Do Accents by Sharp and Rolls. I find it really useful to first identify what the effort is, the Laban effort. Laban efforts are usually used to describe movement, and since language is movement, we can use them to describe kind of like the home base prosody for the dialect. We've got space, whether the language moves from speaker to spoken to in a direct way or an indirect way, right? We've got weight, whether the language feels light in the air or heavy in the air. And then finally, we've got time, whether the words link together in a sudden way or staccato or a sustained way and legato, right? So for this particular dialect, we have a dab. And you can see on the chart, they are expressing a dab through typing on a keyboard. Direct from speaker to spoken to, language light in the air, and the words linked together in a sudden way. So if we imagine that we're typing on a very sensitive keyboard, and we say 11, 11, 11, 11, 11.
11, 11, 11, 11, 11.
Yes, we're starting to move toward the dialect, and we haven't even gotten to pronunciation or sound changes yet. Let's talk about some of these other points of prosody. So there is a rapid rate of speech with dexterity, right? Which is why the lightness is so necessary. All syllables weighted equally on polysyllabic words. And this is something that we're going to hear about when we get to pronunciation as well. So if I say political and I just do the vowels in my own idiolect, I have So schwa, then an I, and then schwa or a sound, neutral sound is the schwa. We use a schwa in unstressed syllables, right? But if I'm going to give all syllables equal weight, then they all have to have a strong sound. So I go from political to political.
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 And you can see that if I just do the vowels of that, I have o, I, a, as opposed to I, right? So I'm using what I call the full value sound as opposed to a value sound for a weak syllable, even in unstressed syllables. And the trick to that is to make sure that you keep those sounds short. So we're showing that they're unstressed not by using a weak form of a sound, but instead by using a short form of a strong sound. There's a wide-ranging melody within a thought group. And you want to think of having one syllable per pitch, right? So I might say to you, I, you, right? Several pitches for that one syllable. But in this dialect, I might say to you, right? One syllable per pitch, okay? And it's almost a feeling of stepping up and down stairs. And then finally, we're going to use strong forms of inoperative words, right? So words like the and the man, a table, right? Unstressed syllables, like in political, those will all get a strong sound instead. So instead of the, we'll say the. Instead of we'll say e. Yes. A man went to the store.
A man went to the store.
Right. And this is one of those times where you want to be really careful about thinking about the sounds rather than the spelling, because sometimes the E in THE makes people want to say they as opposed to the. The. Great. This is a diagram of the International Phonetic Alphabet vowel chart. There's also a consonant chart, but because with dialect work, most of the changes live in the vowels, that's what we're going to focus on, okay? So if this is a diagram of the inside of the mouth, when we are at the top of the chart, where our jaw is closed or close, and the tongue is close to the roof of the mouth. As we come down, the jaw drops, and the tongue moves from being arched to being cupped, right? So if we say that this first row here are all of our front vowels, we're thinking about the sounds in the front of the face, and if our jaw is close and our tongue is arched a little bit, we get an E sound. Everybody try that. E. So if you follow my finger down the chart, and as we go down, I want you to let your jaw drop, let your tongue relax, and become cupped. Ready? We're going to start at E. Here we go. E. When we go to the back, our lips are going to be rounded until we get to the very bottom. So we're going to start round and close. So if we're round and the jaw is close, we get ooh. And as we follow my finger, we're going to let the jaw drop open. We're going to stay round until we get to the ah. Here we go. Ooh. And we can relax the lips when we get to ah. Right here in the middle, where we have our friend schwa, the sound, the most neutral of neutral sounds. The lips are relaxed, the jaw's not quite open, not quite closed. It's right in the center of the chart, right? So if as we come down the chart, here's where we're kind of like in the middle. This is around where we start to see inside of the mouth, just to help us track that mapping. For those of you watching the video, this will be available for you as a link. Feel free to use it as you'd like, but you know, a little credit is always nice if you use it in a production. The more that we are giving credit where credit is due about things, the more people will be excited about having their things be open source, you know? I think what makes people nervous about that is when other people sort of take ownership over the work without acknowledging the root of it. So we're going to take a look at our pronunciation now. We're looking at this dialect sound change sheet, and now we're going to start with our front vowels. So the E sound, as in ease, beat, and tree, and the I sound, as in his, wish, this, are going to become a sound that's in the middle of the two of these, right? So it's going to be not quite E and not quite I, and both of these sounds are going to sort of merge in the middle. So it almost feels like the two of them are trading places, right? So we'll go from ease, beat, tree to is, bit, tree.
Is, bit, tree.
Good. We'll go from wish, this, his to wish, this, is.
Wish, this, is.
Very good. So those two kind of merge into a new sound, so you won't really hear a big difference between is and this. Moving on to our eh sound, as in ten, then, when, this is going to become like the eh sound at the end of café or ballet. You can also think of it as the first part of the diphthong, hey. So we can say hey, hey. And then we're just not going to finish it. We're going to say hey. Hey. That's right. And then we have ten, den, when. Very nice. Alrighty, so now we are going to take a look at the ah sounds as an and, cat, and trap, and then also the ah sound as in laugh, ask, dance. Now that laugh, ask, dance sound, not all American speakers use that sound, actually. For a lot of that, we just use an ah for it instead. But we have this sound called the intermediate A, and I always tell my students, even if you don't ever choose to say, I can't, in your everyday life, it's important to practice it. So both of these sounds, the ah and the ah, become that intermediate A. Ah, the best way to sort of place the sound, it's a little weird, but it totally works. I need you to pretend you're a Southern belle. That's right, and you're out on your veranda. Perhaps you're going to fan yourself. And you're going to say, ma, ma. Ma, ma. Ah. Ah. Laugh. Laugh. Dance. Dance. Chance. Chance. And. Cat. Cat. Trap. Trap. Yeah, that's that sound, that intermediate A. So it's a sound, and it's called that because it's the A that comes in between the, it's like in between the ah as an act and the ah as an art, right? We don't want it to be so far back, right? It's still in the front, but it has a little of that ah characteristic to it. So we get ah. So now we're moving on to our mid vowels. Those are about the relationship between the middle of the tongue and the hard palate. We've got our first vowel form of R. That's the as in stir, blur, flirt. The most important thing is that we're going to take all of the R coloring out, right? So just like you would with a British dialect, we'll take the R out of those vowel forms of R. And then this one is going to also become the E, like café or ballet. So we get ste, ble, flet. Yes, very good. Our schwa sound, our short neutral the one in the center of the chart, is going to become the full value sound, right? So instead of we'll say e. Instead of the, we'll say the. And instead of about, we'll say about. Good. Let's try the sentence. Amidst the middle of America is an incomparable sofa.
Amidst the middle of America is an incomparable sofa.
Yes, and in incomparable, we're using all of those sounds, right?
Incomparable.
Yes, as opposed to incomparable.
Incomparable sofa.
Yes.
Sofa.
And then we have our as in cup, must, and love, which for most of us, we do as a longer schwa. Love, must, money, such. You've got two options for this sound. You can either make it like the British version and have it be sort of forward and bright. Trust, love. Trust that love will come from the sun.
Trust that love will come from the sun.
Or you can do a round version, as in trust, love, must. Yeah, keep that O position. Trust that love will come from the sun.
Trust that love will come from the sun.
Yeah, that's nice. Moving on to the back vowels. The back vowels are about the relationship between the back of the tongue and the hard palate and the velum, or soft palate, right? These sounds are going to be very round until we get to our ah sound. So the oo sound as in school, who, tooth, and the o sound as in wood, sugar, book have the same relationship as ease and his have. So we're going to come to an intermediate sound in the middle. Yeah? So who, school, tooth will become who, school, tooth. Good. We will use liquid U if it comes up. So we'll have new, duke, tuta. Very good. And our wood sound as in wood, sugar, book is going to move towards oo. So we'll have wood, sugar, book. And we have to do the practice sentence because it's my favorite. Sugar. Would the hookah take the hookah to Worcester?
Would the hookah take the hookah to Worcester?
Yes. Moving on to our aw sound as in small talk brought. This is going to be round and internal like the British version. All. Good. So we've got small, talk, brought. Good. And then for its shorter version counterpart, the bond not God sound, we're going to go to a short o as in obey. You can think of it as a short version of the Jamaican o. We have bond, not, God. Then finally, we've got our ah as in father. This sound is going to be almost the same, but we're thinking of it as a little bit further forward in the mouth, right? So we go from spa, father, palm, to spa, fada, palm. Yes, very nice indeed. Moving on to our diphthong sounds. So as I mentioned before, many of these diphthong sounds are going to become monophthong or pure vowel sounds, right? So we've got the A as in stay, slay, mate, which is going to become E, like the first part of the diphthong. So we get stay, slay, mate. Good, let's try the practice sentence. I'll do it first, and then you can repeat. Take the paper from the mayor to the lady of the lake.
Take the paper from the mayor to the lady of the lake.
Good. Can you feel how a little bit in our effort to be precise, we're shifting the effort into something a little heavier? Yeah, so now we're moving from a dab to a punch. So just even with one hand, take the paper from the mayor to the lady of the lake.
Take the paper from the mayor to the lady of the lake.
Excellent. Great. And then we've got our I sound as in night, fly, sigh. they almost become a pure vowel. I've put you can see in the description, I've put that little I in parentheses, and that's just because we're going to just give it a little shadow sound on the back end. So we'll go from night, fly, sigh, to night.
Night.
Make sure that we don't pinch to that I at the end. Night.
Night.
There we go. Fly,
Fly.
sigh.
Sigh.
It's almost like you want to think the second sound more than say it. Okay? Let's go on to our O sound. Our O as in go, row, Jones is going to become a pure vowel O.
O.
So we go from go, row, Jones to go,
Go.
row,
Row.
Jones.
Jones.
Good. And then finally, our ow sound as a now, plow, joust is going to be almost a pure ah with just a little bit of on the back end and no lip rounding. The lips are relaxed. So we go from now, plow, joust to now, plow, joust.
Joust.
Great. Watch my mouth for just a minute, and I'm gonna. So when I say in my own dialect, when I say now, you can see that there's a lateral movement here, right? Now. And what we want for this sound is just straight up and down. Now.
No.
Now.
No.
Good. Can you feel that there's still a little lateral movement?
No.
Just open and close. Now.
No.
That's it. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
Now, the moment we've been waiting for. The world of R, because it's such a mystery. It's exciting. So there are 10 different kinds of R in spoken English. Like, who knew, right? 9 of those are vowel Rs, and one of those is what we call a consonant R. A consonant R stays constant in the amount of R or rhoticity that it has. In other words, you cannot dial up or dial down the amount of R in a consonant R. So this means if you see R in the spelling of a word, and you take the R out of that word, and it completely morphs into a different word, right? So let's say we have brick. If I take all of the R out of brick, I get bick, right? Which is a completely different word. So we know that that is a consonant R, and it has to stay constant, right? However, the vowel Rs, the other 9, are variable, and you can dial up or dial down the amount of R. So for instance, let's take the word star. Everybody?
Star.
Can you say it with really chewy, hard R coloring?
Star.
Yeah. And now say it with none.
Star.
Star. That just sounds sort of fancy or British, right? So if you can take all of the R out and the word just sounds fancy or British, you know it's a vowel R. So let's go through our consonant R possibilities. You have so many possibilities. It's amazing. You can do what's called a bunched R, which feels like your tongue is pulling back, almost like you're running on a rug and it goes bloop, right? So like read and write.
Read and write.
Yeah, how chewy that is. You can also do a half R, half W. Read and write.
Read and write.
Yeah, read and write.
Read and write.
Yes, getting the cocktail right is really important, right? So think about starting with a R and then rounding the lips ever so slightly. Read.
Read.
Yeah, there we go.
Read.
That's the sound. And then in consonant combinations like break or try, in between 2 vowels like very or Harry, you can tap the R, which is a single trill, right? So we could have break, try, very, Harry.
Harry.
Yes, exactly. Symbol tap, you often hear it in the word Africa.
Africa.
A little tap of the R, right? So now we've got our diphthongs of R to take a look at. We have 5 of them. They almost stay the same as in English, but with no R coloring, also known as rhoticity, right? So here, cheer, career becomes here,
Here.
cheer,
Cheer.
career.
Career.
Good.
Career.
Hair, share, rare will become like like cafe. Hair, share, rare.
Rare.
Good. There is a split in this dialect between the ur as in poor and the or as in ford, but our ur sound as in poor will be like poor, sure, mature. And then our or sound will be like ford,
Ford.
snow, poor.
Pour.
Yes. So that one becomes just the pure vowel. Okay. Then our R sound, as in car, snarl, party, will become ka,
Ka,
snarl,
snarl,
party.
party.
Good. And we talked about our as in stir, which is another one of our vowel R's, that we're going to take that and take it to e, so we get len,
Len,
gel,
gel,
flets.
flets.
Great. And then finally we have the ER suffix, like in mother, father, sister, brother. It will become just a short ah sound, except for if there's a U in the spelling, and then it will become an O sound. So I'll do the practice sentence, and then you can repeat. Mother, father, sister, brother, run for cover in the future.
Mother, father, sister, brother, run for cover in the future.
In the future.
In the future. In the future.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's got that U in the spelling.
Got it.
Great. Good. We've got about 6 consonant changes, 5 consonant changes, not that much. So our think sound and our this sound are going to become like a T and D, but made with the whole blade of the tongue, which is this little triangle here, the blade of the tongue, on the back of the upper front teeth. So we'll go from think and this to think and this.
Think and
this.
Good, very nice. Final T can be extra aspirated, which we did when we did Start Your Hats.
Start your hearts.
Voiceless plosives, remember the plosives that we warmed up at the beginning in our warm-up? P, t, k. They have no vibration usually. We're going to add just a little bit of vibration, but not so much that they become a b, a d, and a g. So pie might become pie.
Bye.
Oh, that sounds good. Talk might become talk.
Talk.
Yes, good. And can might become can.
Can.
And then finally, a particular favorite and a wonderful place for us to end our time going through pronunciation is that the nasal, the n at the ends of words can become nasalized, right? So as opposed to ocean, we can have ocean.
Ocean.
As opposed to Indian, we can have India.
Indian.
So let's try, it's a different motion on the Indian Ocean.
It's
It's
a different emotion on the Indian Ocean.
That's great. Great. And so that's our sound set. So we've been through all 4 pillars, and we've gone through in pretty great detail the pronunciation. And then the next thing we have to do is to apply it to some text. Depending on the production and depending on the producers, ideally it should happen when all of the rest of the designers are getting hired. But, you know, with line items being what they are, sometimes a producer will try to skip that item of the line items, having a coach, and they'll get into rehearsal and realize that we're really necessary and really needed, so then we'll get added a little bit later. Ideally, I like to be ready to go with all of my information, my sound change sheets, all of my 4 pillars work, ready to go for the actors on the first day of rehearsal.
Spirito, I call on you come about, all of the spirits both within and out.
This is excellent. I just have the tiniest of notes for you. This is such a little nitpick, right? I would love it if your the is more on your teeth than on your alveolar ridge, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so not on the same spot as you would do a d, but forward on your teeth where you would do a and then just let it
All of
explode. All of the.
D.
Yeah, there
of
we
the
go.
spirit,
That's right. And then I wanted to explain to you about that O and the particular melody of that spirito. There, the O as an addendum, almost like working like as an exclamation point, or like, can you believe it? Or did you hear what I say? Is all over Nigerian speech of all cultures, and it almost always has the exact same melody, which to me sounds like, ha ha, spirito, right? So if all 3 actors do it, they'll do it with that same melody. That's a function of the prosody of this particular dialect. Great, thank you so much. You ready, Kojo?
Yes.
Great.
For we've made it through the greatest of storms, and new days of love, joy, and freedom born.
Good. This is really nice as well. Just a couple of thoughts for you. Again, getting that going to happen on the back of the teeth and not on the gum ridge. So usually we do that sound on the alveolar ridge if we're doing a t or a d, but you're gonna move it forward to your teeth so we get through. And if you wanna tap the R, you can, through. But you don't have to. And then in storms, don't feel like you have to do it as a diphthong, storms. It can just be the all sound, storms. Yes, that's good. And then finally, making sure we're not splitting the difference on that lav sound. So it's either spread, lav, or round, love. Great. Lynette, you ready?
Sure.
Great.
Spirits, help guide us in this time anew, where we recognize the reckoning due.
Very good. Just two tiny things. Let's see if we can get that whispered in where. Yes.
Where.
And right now, it feels a little careful, so I just want you to assume you'll be right.
Okay.
When you back yourself, it makes all the difference in the world, yeah? Sure. And then, if it's something that we don't like or we want to adjust, then we just go back and adjust. You know, it's all part of a process. Excellent work, friends. Really, really nice. Okay, now we're gonna have all of our actors go through the text together. Adriana's gonna sort of serve as our leader, as our call leader, and then we're gonna have like a call and response with this text. So we'll go through it, I'll take some notes, and then if we have notes to give, I'll give them, and we'll do another shot. Okay?
Spirito, I call on you, come about. All of the spirits both within and out.
All of the spirits both within and out.
For we've made it through the greatest of storms, and new days of love, joy, and freedom born.
And new days of love, joy, and freedom born.
We lived a time where we were pushed inside. Not a hug or a held hand was felt worldwide.
Not a hug or held hand was felt worldwide.
Now, many have joined you, spirits above, honored forever in dignified love.
Honored forever in dignified love.
Great, that was excellent. I only have one tiny note, well, two. One is for you and one is for me. So, the tiny note for you all is I would love us first to go a little bit more towards intermediate A in that in hand.
Hand.
Part of the reason why it's tricky is that the in held is so much higher than the in hand. So we really have to activate that shift in the jaw. Held hand.
Held hand.
Held hand.
Held hand.
Held hand.
Held hand.
Yes, that's nice. And remember, we want our mama,
Mama.
hand.
Hand.
Hand. Yeah. Lynette, drop your jaw just a pinch.
Hand.
Pinch more.
Hand.
Now close it just a pinch.
Hand.
That's the spot. It's
Hand.
tricky and elusive.
Hand.
Yes,
Held
excellent.
hand.
And now the note for me is that after, as opposed to echoing honored forever in dignified love, let's all say it together the first time. Okay, whenever you're ready, off you go.
Spirito, I call on you, come about. All of the spirits both within and out.
All of these spirits both within and out.
For we've made it through the greatest of storms, and new days of love, joy, and freedom born.
And new days of love, joy, and freedom born.
We lived a time where we were pushed inside. Not a hug or held hand was felt worldwide.
Not a hug or held hand was felt worldwide.
Now many have joined you, spirits above, honored forever in dignified love.
Hooray! That was great. So you've all worked in various capacities with dialects in pursuit of objective while in character in a production. And I'm just wondering, do you have any tips for how you maintain the consistency of your accent, not just across one performance, but also across a longer 3, 4, 5, 6 week run of a play?
I think mine sort of works twofold. One, having a certain pattern or a certain sentence or group of sentences that automatically get me right back into the right back into the dialect.
Called a rag text.
Right,
Rag text,
that also getting me back also into the physicality of that particular dialect. And I think also really making sure that preferably I start working on it from the beginning, that it feels not just in the mouth shapes, but with the intention behind it. So it's kind of like learning how to do a different type of dance. So, the physicality will be very ballet for this particular thing. That means like the rest of my body will respond, and then it will feel off if I'm not doing it to these particular lines. And I think that it's just a lot of muscle memory, so that also hearing it, but like making sure that that is really in play.
Yeah.
Great. You bring up such a good point about muscle memory and the fact that it really is like dance. Because in the same way, if you were in a play or that had a dance in it, you wouldn't be doing the dance and being like, and step, and kick, and turn, and do you know what I mean? You would trust the intellect of your body to take over, the intelligence of your body to take over from your brain, right? And it's kind of the same thing with dialect work. I think so often people think it's about an adjustment that they make here, but it's really an adjustment that happens in the muscles. And it's like choreo of the face, And in the same way that you eventually want to work to trusting the choreography so then you can imbue it with whatever the emotions or the actions that are involved in the dance are meaning to convey. It's the same thing with your dialect stuff. You want to be comfortable enough with it so that you're not thinking about the steps per se, but you're thinking about the whole feeling and what you're trying to get from your other characters on stage.
How would you advise an actor begin? Like maybe they made it through the audition, they've gotten the role, and now, maybe we may not see you for a couple of weeks. Like, how would you recommend someone start this process? Do you think they should go to the text first, or should they spend time working with the 4 pillars on their own without looking at text so they don't get stuck? Like, what would you advise?
So I'd start with the script, making a list of things that one list of things that your character says about themselves, and one list of things that everyone else says about them, seeing if a picture starts to emerge. And then I would immerse myself in the people stuff, the time period, the city, the place, the people in the place. Yeah. I would start there because often directors have really specific aesthetics when it comes to the way that the voice and the speech work happen. And sometimes it can be stuff that is 100% a part of the dialect, but the director just doesn't like the way it sounds for whatever reason. It's not part of their aesthetic. So then a coach would be instrumental in adjusting that. But if you've already gone and built it in on your own, which would be a proper thing to do because you're looking at, the information from that region, then you're going to have to unlearn that. Yeah. So I probably would not start really diving into the dialect, but maybe immersing yourself in movies and culture, I think is a great place to start. The script and then culture. Yeah. In other words, working on the people part of the 4 Ps. That was our little trip through the Knight Thompson 4 pillars, also known as the 4 Ps of a dialect, and also some work on the Nigerian dialect. I'd like to thank my cohort for joining me today. If you ever get a chance to see them in something, run, don't walk. Thank you so much to the American Theater Wing for inviting me. And last but certainly not least, thank you for watching and joining us. I hope it's been instructive and helpful. Thanks so much.